Hi guys, welcome back to my channel. You'll have to forgive me because I have hardly any makeup on today. I'm looking a little bit rough, but the hay fever is getting to me. So in this video I'm going to be inserting pictures of my costumes from when I did princess parties, talking about what was good about them, why I bought them, what I didn't like about them. I'm going to be showing you an example of bad costumes that I would never buy and I would advise you not to buy if you're trying to make your business like a serious thing, and costumes that are like top example if you have the money for it. And there's probably going to be a few examples of like a kind of mid-range thing, which is obviously what I was going for, because when I started doing princess parties, if I'd have carried on doing it longer, the plan would have been to get the costumes that I did and then at some point upgrade them, which is what I know a lot of people do. I just want to start by saying, firstly, I'm going to be getting them up on my phone and then obviously inserting them in afterwards, so that's why I've got my phone. And secondly, I just want to say that I'm going to be doing the 4 characters that I did when I did princess parties. At some point maybe I'll do examples for other characters too, but I just thought this would be easier for now because obviously I can compare the costumes that I had. Let's start with Elsa. You've got to remember, I bought my Elsa costume really soon after the film came out, and it wasn't hard to find them. You could find Elsa costumes like easily enough, but I really struggled to get something that wasn't really expensive, but also something that looked accurate to the movie. This was from Angel Secret. So what you're seeing there is the sleeve bit was basically a top that I would put on first, and then the rest of it was like a dress. And I don't know if you can see, it's got detachable clear straps, which are showing up in that picture. That's why I chose this picture, so I could talk about it. Yeah, so you could either not have the straps or you could have the straps, but I opted for the straps. It had a really good cape attached to the back. And we'll talk more about capes when I compare some other costumes. The thing is with these costumes, the detail I think is really make or break. So for instance, look at my one. You've got the sequins on the top, on the like bodice corset if you like, and then you've got this lovely like shimmery fabric on the leg. And it did have the slit up the side, but not as high as in the movie because you know. But it did have a slit up the leg. Just like in the film. The cape was made of like this really nice kind of like meshy material, which, yeah, there's just a lot going on there in terms of fabric, and I think it really, when it catches the light, yeah, it was a really good costume. This one I'm going to put in. This is the main one that I see. I used to see a lot of girls that would set up like a princess party business, and this would be the exact costume that they would get. You can get it on Amazon and eBay, and look, I think if you're going to a hen party or like to Halloween or something, then great, like it's really cheap, and people are going to know who you're meant to be. But for a professional business, I would not recommend getting this. Look at the skirt. I just think the skirt looks so cheap. The slit looks like it's literally just been hacked up. The materials are just not giving me what I'm wanting. The cape, I think, is a bit, it's too white, I think, and it's not long enough. The dress isn't long enough. The length is really what bothers me with this one. And the top is just really, it's a really poor fit, I think. It comes up so high. Like, I get that you don't want it to be revealing, but I mean, it's literally like sitting on a collarbone. I don't know. I would not recommend getting something like this. This, I would say, is something that I wouldn't recommend as well, but it's definitely a step up from the last one that you saw. It's got nice detail. I like the fabric on the skirt. The cape is okay. My only qualm is like the like divide on the top. I don't really know why they've done that. I mean, maybe it's so it's not obviously a rip-off of a Disney character, but I mean, I don't know. I would say things like that, just try and get it as accurate as you can, I think. But I really like the sleeves on this one. I think that material looks really nice and very accurate. I will show you, this is what I would say is like a best case scenario. These costumes can be really expensive. I believe this one's Angel Secret as well. But I would just say pay attention to the sleeves, how that like longer bit wraps around like the middle finger. The attention to detail on the top is so gorgeous. The cape like trails right behind like it should do. The length is perfect. I just think something like that is like what you're aiming for. And obviously not a lot of people can afford to get that, especially if you're just starting out. But aim for something that kind of mimics those sorts of details, I would say. Okay, we're going to jump into Snow White next. So this is my costume. And I mentioned in a previous video, but I'll say again, I got my nan to alter this for me. This is not what the costume looked like. I bought it off a friend who bought it for a fancy dress party or something. And this was the original costume. And the sleeves were longer, it had yellow ribbon over like the main bit of the sleeve. What I did was I got my nan to change, she got some blue ribbon and changed the like bit going down the sleeve, and then she cut off the like length of the forearm, if you like. And that's what we got, just because I thought, attention to detail. I did notice it's pretty hard to get Snow White wrong. Like, there's not many awful Snow White costumes out there. But yeah, look at this one, for example. This is quite a cheap one from Amazon, and it's really not bad. It's really not bad at all. Yeah, this doesn't bother me at all, this costume. I mean, obviously you've got to question whether it'll look like that when it arrives, but that is a really cheap one, and it doesn't look bad at all, to be honest. And now for a best case scenario, I've got two because I couldn't pick. This one is a slightly more traditional Snow White costume. Just look at that fabric on the top. Like, it looks so expensive. It looks so high quality. It looks like the body is like boned with like steel boning almost, which is just, oh, I love that costume so much. And this is another great example. This is a kind of more updated one, like kind of, you know, when they changed the costumes in the parks a few years ago. This is kind of, I think that's same kind of style, just a bit more of a pattern, subtle pattern on the top, and a bit more detailing around the sleeve and stuff. But yeah, those are gorgeous costumes. Next of all, Cinderella. I really liked my Cinderella costume. It was really nice. It was kind of more, I think when they changed the princess costumes in the parks a few years ago, this one that I went for is kind of more like the original costume. The bottom bit, it looks really high quality, and I can't remember how much it cost, but it really wasn't that expensive. I think I had a hoop skirt as well, and looking back, I would have liked it to be a bit more puffier, but that's okay. And this is a Cinderella costume you should probably stay away from. It's not the worst thing in the world, and people will know who you're trying to be, but the length really bothers me. Snow White is the only one that I think deliberately, her dress doesn't have to be as long, because in the film it just is, you know, I don't know, it's not. But with a ball gown, I'm like, come on, this needs to be like full length, hitting the floor, and I don't know, it just cuts off at the ankles. The little, I appreciate the detail there, but it looks really lazily done. And yeah, I hate that kind of like satiny material at the top. I think that looks really cheap. This one is maybe your middle ground kind of thing, I would say. The material looks quite cheap, which bothers me a little bit. Okay, ignore the cleavage, because obviously you really don't want a kid's pie. But apart from the material being cheap, that's not like the worst costume in the world, I don't think. Best case scenario, if you're going for an older kind of classic style one like me, I would say this. Obviously this looks quite expensive, but that is a stunning costume. This is stunning. This is kind of what I wanted mine to be. Like, just really big at the bottom, really big sleeve. That's kind of like my one, but like a more dramatic version, I think. And obviously this is almost a replica of what they do in the parks nowadays, which, can you imagine wearing that? It's just stunning. That is just gorgeous. I'm gonna do Belle. Okay, so this was the first costume I got. It's not the best, and I would have loved to upgrade my Belle costume, but a good Belle costume is so expensive. So I didn't. So I don't really like this costume at all. It's not bad for a starting out one, but it was very, very yellow. But yeah, here we go. So it was like a separate top and skirt again, and it came with gloves. And I just used to get my hair done like in the style, because I didn't need a wig, because that's how my hair was at the time. So yeah, it's not bad. Let me find a wide shot. Yeah, see, I think this is my problem with it. From a distance, it just looks very flat, because believe it or not, I have a hoop skirt on under there, but it just wasn't enough, and I feel like it looks droopy. Whereas Belle, you think those big like sashes like around the dress, you know. But it wasn't awful. I would say something like that when you're starting out isn't bad, but do try and get it a bit wider, because otherwise it just looks a bit sad, I think. This is maybe an example of not a great one, I would say. Just want to show you. It's got this big heart there, which is a bit weird. The sleeves are like on the shoulder, and obviously when I think Belle, I think off the shoulder sleeve. Yeah, and pink rose petals on the side. Again, not really, don't really see why they've done that. And like a stripe going down the sides, like, I don't know. I think the main things you're looking for with a bell costume are the off-the-shoulder sleeve and the like sashes that go around the dress if you can. Best case scenario, I've got two again because I love Belle's costume. I think it's just the best. So this is kind of similar to the old style dress that they did in the Disney parks. Yeah, see what I mean about the sashes, the like yellow roses. It's more yellow than it is nowadays, the dress. But I mean, that's stunning. I think that looks straight out of the movie and it's really stunning. But obviously a very expensive costume. But yeah, just notice the detail. You can tell why it's an expensive costume, that's the thing. And this next one, I would say, is just like the dream. This is really similar to what they do in the parks nowadays. It's kind of a softer, almost a cream colour, but still yellow. You still know who it is, that's the thing. And you know who it is because of the off-the-shoulder sleeve and the sashes around the dress. Simple as that, but like that is a stunning costume. The material looks so nice. It looks a lot heavy though, but I mean, yeah, I love that. I think that is like your best case scenario. That's all I have. Yeah, I don't know if this has been helpful at all. Hopefully it has. It's been a little longer than I thought. But yeah, if you have any questions, drop them down below. I will link all of the other videos in this series at the bottom as well. And also, if anyone would be interested in me doing this same style video about any other characters, please let me know because I love comparing the costumes. It's one of my favourite things. Maybe you want a whole nother video on wigs, I don't know. Maybe you want to get ready with me for one of the characters that I did, I don't know. But let me know and we'll see. Thanks for watching this video and I'll see you soon.